Hi, I'm Chris Pureka. Hopefully, you know that already. I'm here with my friend Chris Matthews, who's a wonderful singer-songwriter, and we're here to talk a little bit more about my album, The Longest Year.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Yeah, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about you so they know who you
Um,
are?
so I'm a singer-songwriter based in Washington, D.C. Um, I tend to mostly sing social justice songs these days, something about these past 4 or 5 years. But yeah, mostly just a really big Chris Parica fan.
No way, no way. Chris and I have toured together on the East Coast a few times,
Yeah.
uh, and Chris has actually most recently sang a couple songs with us at our DC show in
Yeah.
December. So it's I'm so excited to get to sit down and talk to you.
Me too.
Um,
Congrats on the new album.
thanks so much. Yeah, it's been out for a minute now, and I've talked about it like as it in a more recent way, but now it's nice. It's got a little time under it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm
And
stoked. I can't wait to talk about it.
thanks. We should definitely talk about our flannel first though, because we're
Absolutely. I went,
super
I was like,
matchy.
PDX, it's a Chris Freakin' chat. I feel like I need to
Yeah.
have my flannel. It was like, do I want the gray, the very angsty gray Portland flannel? Do I want the blue cheery flannel? I definitely
It's
opted for
like
the gray.
the
Yeah.
gray is it's lovely. It's perfect. We didn't plan this or anything.
Nope.
And I don't think I've even worn flannel for the other ones that I've done. So this is like really
Yeah.
it's faded.
Yep.
It's
Like we knew. It was like
we
the Chris
knew.
Chris show. We need the Chris
Yeah.
Chris. We need
Damn.
the flannel.
We're
Yeah.
so we're in alignment. It's just working for us. So yeah.
Totally.
And you've got your mountains there, which is
Yes.
cool,
Yeah.
which, that's a very cool mural.
Thank you.
And your keyboard, which are you playing more keyboard these days or is that
A
Heather's
little
keyboard?
bit actually. Yeah, this is Heather's, but I actually wrote a song on this not too long ago. So I actually played keys before I played guitar. So it's
Oh,
fun to kind of get back into it a little bit. So
that's
I'm hoping to
great.
do more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took lessons like a long time ago when I no, that is not even true. I like do not play piano. Let me lead with I do not play piano. And I took some lessons when I first moved to Portland in hopes that like I would learn like some little things. And I learned some little things like
Yeah.
I can like do the chicken peck, you know. But I wish I was better at that instrument. So that's cool.
We'll have to do some green room hangs and just like play a little
Yeah,
bit. Just do
I
some
love it.
noodling.
I
Yeah.
love this. Yes. I mean, we have to do some shows first though, which requires us
Totally.
to get out of quarantine zone and into
Yes.
back into tour land.
Yeah.
But
I hope
do you
everybody's
have a tour coming
vaccinated.
up? You have some stuff, right?
Yeah, just like sporadic stuff here and there. I'm playing the Bluebird in a couple of weeks, which I'm stoked about.
In
Um,
Denver?
no, in Nashville.
Oh, in
Yeah.
Nashville. Yeah,
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 doing a
yeah.
writers round with like Jennifer Knapp and
Oh,
Scott Cook.
cool.
And yeah, just playing here and there. Mostly just trying to only play places where it's very safe to play, not just for me, but for the people that are coming. So like
Yeah.
being really strict about, okay, vaccinations only. I don't feel
Yeah.
bad for everybody else. You can try to watch it virtually, but no, vaccinations only and masks as well because we
Yeah.
believe in science over here.
Yeah, amen to
Yeah,
science.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Jeez, Louise. I know.
Yeah. You know better than
Yeah.
most though, right? Like aren't you
Yeah.
like a secret biochemist?
Oof. I
Like
did. Yes. Not so much viruses, but I was more of I studied bacteria for a while, but
so cool.
I, yeah, that's a little bit in the past, but I do, it's still like a doctrine that I follow, like all
Yes.
of I certainly believe all
Yeah.
the process pieces and the factual based things.
Yes. Evidence-based science.
Yeah, the
For
evidence.
sure.
Yeah,
For
so
sure.
but yeah, it's a weird world. We were lucky
Yeah.
because our last show in New York, they actually they had enough like COVID tests for all the audience members, which was so anyone
Incredible.
that came to the show was able to get one, and that was just like
That is
so
awesome.
reassuring for people, I think, and it made us feel a lot better about going forward with the show because it was right
Yeah.
at the kind of peak of the Omicron like
Yeah.
crest of the wave. So,
Yeah.
woo,
These times,
Yeah,
boy, oh boy, oh boy.
these times, which can lead us into the longest
The
year.
longest year, truly. So
Yeah,
poetic.
yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's such a it's I'm just going to dive right in. I probably have listened to it all the way through probably 30 times so far.
Oh, yeah. That's a
It's
lot of
just so
times.
it's so beautiful.
Thanks.
You know, for me as like somebody who's actually been a fan of your music for a long time, it was really great to kind of hear kind of like some old Chris Pureka and some new Chris Pureka kind of mixed in together. I loved a way some of the songs kind of almost felt like I think the one that's Airplane Man, it kind of almost reminded me of like Swan Song a little bit.
Yeah.
Just kind of with the feel of it. And I love, love, love the title track so much. It's so beautiful and
Oh, thanks.
such a realistic kind of a takeaway from this very uncertain time that we're all experiencing together. Just so hopeful and such a very Chris Pureka nuanced, subtle way, but just really, really beautiful writing as always. I love it so much.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
Yeah,
I appreciate that like comment about kind of the nod to the earlier
yeah,
my earlier style kind of because it kind of I feel like it ended up being having a lot of dryland vibes and sort of like more early, more acoustic version
yeah.
stylistically. And it wasn't super intentional, but I kind of like leaned once I like realized what was happening, I started leaning into it a little more. And it really felt right for this project. It kind of felt like a going back to my roots kind of um moment. And that was really cool. So
That's
thanks for
awesome.
noticing that. Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah, for me, it's like I the only thing I hate about this very digital age is like not being able to actually have the liner notes in my hand to see like were you playing all the instruments, who was playing with you.
Oh yeah, shoot. So I actually I post all the liner notes on my website because this
Awesome.
is also like I find maddening, honestly,
Yes.
especially because I mean, we are living in a digital age. Like all that information could just be on a link on Spotify and it's
Yeah.
not I feel like some artists do have some stuff like that and I don't understand even as an artist like who has that behind the scenes like artist profile. Like I don't
Yeah.
even there's not like a place to update that to put your lyrics. There's not a place to
Yeah.
put the credits anyway, but I do provide that on my website because I think it's really helpful for people that can't understand me, which is a lot of people. And also for the credits, like people need credit. Like it drives me
Yeah.
nuts. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm listening to other people's stuff, like, yeah, like I want to know who's
Yeah, like
playing drums on this.
Was
Like,
Andy
yeah, like,
playing that, you know what I mean? Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
it is like it's anyway. So that is one thing. The other thing is that this was much more of like kind of a solo endeavor than a lot of my
That's awesome.
stuff. And um I addressed this a little bit in the last chat, but I ended up playing like basically all the electric guitar and lap steel on the album.
That's awesome.
Mostly just because of like a logistical problem, like where by the time I realized that I was recording a couple new songs, it was like kind of too late to fly Andy up and like work out
Yeah.
parts together. And like I mean, I kind of came up with this kind of arbitrary deadline, but I really wanted this album to come out in 2021. I felt
Yeah.
like I just like the songs are like of the moment. And I was like, if I
Yeah.
like just am like, oh, because normally you know how the music business kind of works. Like everyone's trying to get you to kind of like wait, honestly, and
Yeah.
like be like, let's line it all up. Like, so you
Yeah.
want to have the vinyl ready, you want to have everything ready. And like I was just like, I don't think it makes sense to wait for this project. There's a lot of
Definitely.
projects that it totally makes sense to wait for. And this
Yeah.
one, I was like, I need to just like put it out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's like such an urgent need for that kind of hope,
Um,
especially for your fans to be able to hear that from you. I mean, I think that's one of the things that so many people have found so comforting in this scary time is like the solace that they find in the music and the artists that they love. It's been like resonating with them even more deeply than it usually does. And so I think definitely the urgency and not wanting to wait to get those songs out. I definitely can feel that for sure. I'm so glad you didn't wait.
oh, thanks. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like, I mean, the compromise on that was sort of like that I didn't get to collaborate as much with other people as I might have liked. And
But there's
especially
an
Andy.
intimacy to
But
that though. Did you find like kind of a bit of a freeing kind of a way to be able to just kind of dig into it and shape it the way that you wanted to shape it at kind of the pace that you wanted to shape the songs with like the freedom of you just kind of being the person driving the whole thing?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
You
I
know.
mean, so I used to play a lot more parts on my records, in the earlier records, and
Yeah.
I really love writing parts for the songs. Like
Yeah.
I actually find it's one of my favorite parts of the production process and stuff. And I kind of and then I've met a lot of super talented people, and then I'm not as talented. That's not the right word. I'm not like as certainly not as quick at like writing a part as like
Mhm.
Andy or somebody else. And it like takes me a really long time to like figure it out and like find the right spots, and then a long time to practice it and make it sound good on the record. But it's totally worth it. It's like a journey that I really enjoy, and I got
Yeah.
to do that on this, and it felt really nice, especially because it is like that kind of like harkening back to the earlier albums. It kind of
Yeah.
like had that. It kind of like made sense in that way too. And
Yeah.
also just like honestly, like it's a pandemic and we're all like in our houses like alone or whatever. And I'm
Yeah.
just it was really like kind of just a little microcosm of what was happening. Like I was just like I was here, I was alone, I was making a record, and
Yeah.
there wasn't like access to other people. Like the studio stuff was I was in the studio a little, and I will say like I don't want to say like I didn't play all the instruments on this, and I did have several local friends come in and like play drums and keys, and Katie Sawicki's on this album a bunch, and that
Nice.
was like really awesome. And but yeah, it felt like it was that's kind of a snapshot of that moment,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I think it translates really well. I mean, it's again, it's just like in this kind of cool way, it's like another, it's like very meta, it's like we're in a pandemic and we're in a pandemic and I'm making music and we have to quarantine, so I'm making this music alone in my
Yeah.
home, so it's
Yeah.
just part of the story. It's just more of the story for people to listen to down the road and know about. I feel like you can feel it in a different way too when you're getting to play more of the other parts. It's like when we're as songwriters, at least for me, oftentimes when I'm writing, I'm hearing other parts that I'm not going to play myself, but I can kind of like hear them or like at least hear the overall shape of what they could maybe be. And so to have the freedom to just kind of bring it to life in that way, those extra parts, I think that's kind of cool. It's like you get to write it again and again and again.
Yeah, it's really, I don't know. Also, I love playing like lap steel, which I mean, I
That's
would
awesome.
never play live, and I'm not like I wouldn't be able to like just sit down and like play along much, like because it's a squirrely instrument.
Yes, it is.
But I love it, and I love like when I'm like I did a lot of home recordings, so I would just like sit down and like do a bunch of takes and then be like I like this piece, and like kind of composing that way was really fun.
That's
and
awesome.
and like yeah, so that was also another kind of perk, was that I did kind of set up a home studio. I've always done some home recording, but I kind of like upped my game for this project. And
Nice.
yeah, that was
What were you
great.
using? Were you using like Pro Tools, Logic? What was your
Yeah,
poison?
I'm
What was your
using Pro
poison?
Tools. I've been a Pro Tools guy like from the beginning, and so I
Nice.
just like haven't wanted to like learn a new thing. It's
That's
just
awesome.
I'm not like super computery, and anyway,
Yeah.
so but I finally like upgraded to the latest Pro Tools because I was having all these like issues, and I got like the latest stuff, and I got like some new gear,
Oh,
and
cool.
basically just like yeah, it was nice to just be able to sit down and do a lot of takes of things that in the studio I would have been like stressed out. Like it would have been like, this is like costing me $1 million because I
Exactly.
can't play the lap steel very well.
But you just get
So
to repeat and repeat and
yeah,
repeat, and it's not costing anybody. That's great.
it's all free. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. And
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. Do you do a lot of like home recording stuff these days?
I do not. I am very non-tech savvy.
Ah, yeah.
I thankfully I'm fortunate enough. Heather is pretty savvy, so I can like just be like, "Hey, I need to record a demo. Can you help me?" And she'll help me. But
Oh,
yeah, no, I
nice.
have no skills other than writing the song and playing the song, and that is it. The buck stops right there.
there's some beauty in that too. I mean, wearing too many hats starts to be like a little bit, it can be like overwhelming. So that's great. I mean, I think especially if you've got like help,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
for
really good.
sure.
Yeah.
So I'm so curious. I've been dying to ask you, what is your favorite song on the album?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think like originally it was definitely Sky Spinning, which is the single that I released, and that's part of why I released it as a single because it was my favorite, and I felt like it felt like the most. I feel like that song feels like kind of the most like ties in the most with my more current body of work, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I I really do like the title track a lot too.
Yeah.
And that one has like a different that one feels like more almost important or something. But those are my top two. But I mean you can't like pick
I know,
babies.
they're like our babies. It's like we can't pick the favorite one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But I
just want
mean obviously all the songs like have a special place in my heart, so like for different reasons and yeah, so but that's probably what I would say in terms just like sort of more
That's awesome.
objectively speaking, yeah.
Yeah, I love that you got an instrumental one up there. I mean, sometimes we just get so in our heads as like lyricists, we just don't let ourselves just play some beautiful music. And you're such an awesome instrumentalist as well as an amazing
Thanks.
songwriter. So it's so cool to just have like just a Chris Pureka, just an instrumental track up there.
Oh,
It's so great.
thanks so much.
Yeah.
I wrote that one like I mean I wrote it so many years ago and I didn't even really think if I would record it or not. And then when we were like, when I was thinking about recording it, I played it with Zanny, who's the drummer in the Cabin Project. Anyway, I don't know.
Awesome.
But anyway, and Zanny wrote this really awesome like part for it that I just thought was like so perfect and it just kind of helped make the song come to life. And then I was like, I want a bass on it, and I ended up playing the bass on it, and that was
Nice.
like this whole thing where I mean, that was this whole can of worms. But I feel like it kind of ended up with this kind of like Charlie Brown Christmas vibe, which is
If you
like,
mean delightfully sweet and full of magic, yes,
I mean,
100%, you're
like
correct.
just kind of like a little like rough around the edges, kind of, but like, I don't know. Anyway, I think it's yeah, I think it turned out cool, but
It's great. It's
yeah,
so fun. It's just such
thanks.
a pleasant surprise in this already very surprising album just because, it's a departure. Like, the deep emotion, the deep Pureka angst for sure. And like to have this just joyfully, beautifully hopeful album come
Yeah.
out in the middle of a
Oh
pandemic. It was just
man.
like the little cherry on top. It was so cool.
It
I loved
is
it.
a little out of character. Yeah.
It's so nice though,
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's the thing of it is that it's so authentic. It's like it isn't that rose-colored glasses kind of hope and just like everything's fine. Like it's so realistic. Like there's a lyric in the title track that says something like it's a hard time for a heavy heart to beat or something like that. What's the lyric in there? Do you know which one I'm
It
talking
is
about?
it is a heavy time to have a beating heart.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that is just so perfect and beautiful, and it's just like, man, because it's just the humanity of it. It's like we all have beating hearts, and it's just a hard time for all of us. Like
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
be the most optimistic person on the face of the planet, and you are
Yeah.
in a global pandemic, like trying to
Yeah.
find your way and trying to figure out how to endure this craziness that we're all dealing with.
Yeah.
And so it's just like it is so hopeful and it is so beautiful, but it's so authentic and so you. It just really translated so perfectly.
Oh,
I'm so in love with it. So
thanks.
yeah, thanks for giving me a chance to talk about it a little bit with you.
I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. We should talk a little about the project that we did together because
Yeah.
well, just because I that the What a Wonderful World, which is what the song, I don't even know if you knew this or not, if but I think you did. But the song What a Wonderful World that I was asked to record it for uh
Yeah, for the assisted or the well, I guess they would call
yeah,
it assisted living, but like yeah, the nursing home,
yeah,
the retirement community, I guess is more appropriate.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes, there's so many words. Yes. I think it's one of those, assisted living might be right. I don't know. But
Yeah.
yeah, the like, yes. And then you ended up recording a song too for that same project, which I
Yeah.
loved. I was wondering if you it's Hey Good Looking, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
wondering if you ever released it or if you thought of putting it on anything ever.
No, I know. I
No.
just, it was so fun to do it just because my grandpa used to always, it was like, when you're a little kid, you don't really understand what flirting is. But like, as you reflect back, it's just like, oh, that was my grandpa's go to song to flirt with my grandmother. Like, he'd always be like, hey, good looking, what you got cooking? Like, every time he would walk into the room, because she was such an amazing cook
Oh
anyway.
man.
And so it was just
Yeah.
so endearing to get to sing that song and kind of be thinking of the two of them and their beautiful love story while I was singing
Yeah.
it. So yeah, I never thought about releasing it, but it just was such a fun thing to get to do. And so I'm just so grateful to have that opportunity like tossed over to me to get to do that. It was so really very
Yeah.
deeply appreciated.
Yeah. I think you should release it. I really loved it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thought it was really great. So yeah, that was fun. I mean, like stuff like that is stuff like that is it's helpful to keep the creative juices going. Like
Yeah.
there's another song on this album that was also kind of like a commissioned song, which is Airplane Man. And I don't know
Oh,
if you know the
nice. Yeah, I
story
wondered.
behind
I
that.
wanted to know the story behind that. I
Yeah.
kept listening to it and trying to be like, gosh, that's not about her dad. Like, who is that about?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not about my
Yeah.
dad. Yeah. It's so there's a fan of mine. um a fan of mine had her father passed away last
Mhm.
year, and he was also a fan like of mine. And so she was the one that she approached me and was like, we would love it if you would write something for the memorial.
So
And
beautiful.
I was like, I knew her for sure. I've seen her at shows and met her a bunch of times. And I had met him before, but like hadn't like talked to him a ton.
Yeah.
But they sent me a bunch of like letters and correspondence, and I talked to different family members and kind of like came up with this picture of him. And I didn't know if it was gonna work out. I was like, I don't, I'll try. And then if it works out, great, and if it
Yeah.
doesn't, like no harm, no foul kind of. And yeah, but I ended up really liking the song, and it is
Yeah.
something it is really different than something I would have written. And it is, I mean, it is like weirdly optimistically hopeful too for kind of a
Yeah.
memorial song. But it also makes me a little like teary,
Yeah.
even when I hear it. Because it's like it's just kind of sweet. And yeah, he was just really into airplanes.
It's a really beautiful song.
Thanks. Yeah.
It's really beautiful. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that one. Yeah,
Thanks.
it's great. I mean, like I
Cool.
said, it's just like start to finish, just it just feels good to listen to. And I think so much of what so many of us need right now is just that. It's just like, hit me deep in the feels and just go ahead and let me just cry a little bit, smile a little bit,
Yeah.
and it does all of that. It's just so great.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope that people are enjoying it. And I
Yeah.
feel like I've gotten some of the like more uh like specific kind of touching feedback I've gotten has been from healthcare providers actually
Oh, amazing.
that have kind of found especially the title track like really helpful right now. And
Yeah.
that feels really good to hear.
Yeah.
And I hope that it's getting people that need it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So beautiful, Chris. That's awesome.
Thanks. Thanks. Well, uh, thanks for chatting with me,
Yeah,
Chris.
thanks for
It's
chatting
like,
with me, and thanks for letting me talk about how awesome
yeah,
your album is. I appreciate
yeah,
that. I hope everybody goes out and gets it and also goes out and gets a copy for their friends.
thanks. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for chatting with me, Chris.
Yeah,
Everyone
you're
can
so
check out Chris
welcome.
Matthews' music on their website, and
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. Have a great night.
Cheers. Thanks, Chris.
Okay, thanks.